All right, so I want to do a first little group therapy. I'm having my fun. Okay, so here we go. We got 37 minutes at a hard stop at 8:30. So please, someone at 8:25, give me a $5. Okay, I want to be truthful and faithful to time. Okay, we're gonna do the whole Purim story as much as we can in that time. But first, we're gonna say brainstorm about everything that comes to mind about Purim's story and the Purim story, the story of Esther, the holiday, the book itself, the story. Okay, so stream of consciousness. Here we go.
Megilla.
Megilla, the whole Megilla.
The whole Megilla.
The whole Megilla.
Mordecai.
Oh, Mordecai, the cast of characters. Ladies and gentlemen, the greatest sage of the day, Mordecai.
Queen Esther.
Queen Esther. Okay, so let's do the cast of characters. Okay, Queen Esther.
Haman.
Haman. Hey, man.
Haman.
Hey, dude. Okay, no. There's a cartoon out there. It's like, hey, man. Hey, dude. Okay, whatever. Okay.
Betrayal.
Hey, man. What'd you say?
Betrayal.
Betrayal. Ooh, nice.
Triangle hat.
Deceit.
Oh, triangle hat. Love it. I heard of Vashti. Someone called out Vashti.
Lottery.
Lottery. Ooh.
Queen.
Achashverosh. Okay, here we go.
Uncle.
Okay, we're going to get to that in 1 second. Okay. Ad deloda. Until you don't know. Meaning. This is where Purim gets exciting. The halacha is, the Jewish law is, that you're supposed to drink on Purim afternoon and the meal. And I want, if you leave with anything, please, I know there's so many great Jewish disco parties that call themselves Purim parties, that make Purim into Halloween. I beg you, please, even if you can go, fine, go. Don't think that's Purim. That's not Purim. A disco party's not Purim. Purim's a meal where you sit down with people who you love and you drink and you
Get smashed.
get smashed. But it's a different type of getting smashed. So we're going to talk about drinking and the drinking that's different
Smashed with
on
class.
Purim. Holy smashedness. Okay. We have to talk about that. Okay. Yes, until you don't know. So that was Kobe. Yes.
Acne. That's important.
Oh, Vashti. Yeah. You know what? This could be a great marketing campaign. You don't want to look like Vashti? Come to your aromatherapy. I love this. Okay, acne. Okay. If we're
I
really...
read that as part of... It's important in the story.
It is crucial. And by the way, if we're going to Midrash, also said she grew a tail.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it was an unfortunate cosmetic development. Okay, anything else?
Did we say the party?
Uncle.
Oh, the party itself. There's a party.
Was
Good.
there like a summons?
Oh, indeed there was a summons. Okay? And what that did and the refusal. Okay, I want you to know.
They're hanging.
Oh, we're hanging around. Okay, here we go. The male-female dynamic in the Purim story is unbelievable. The contrast, again, this is now when you go deep in the story, between there's pairs of male and female and different dynamics and paradigms of their relationship. There was a relationship between two color diagrams, Achashverosh and Vashti, and Mordecai and Esther. And keep your eye on the bouncing ball, how the male and female interact with each other. It is fascinating. Okay, hopefully we'll get to that as well. Now, we need to do a lesson. Okay. When you read the story in English, all of the names sound pretty understandable. The main characters, some of the side characters are like impossible to say. But one is this one. Okay? They always write his name, King Ahasuerus. King Ahasuerus. It's like Ahasuerus. It makes no sense. Okay, it's really easy. Okay? Ready? And you will be able to correct everyone this Purim. In fact, when you go to a dinner party, you can say, hey, do you know how to say the name of the king in the Purim story? And they'll say, uh-huh. And you'll say, no. It's Achashverosh. Ready? Achash? Verosh. One more time. Verosh. So whatever you say in the English when you're staying up at night or getting up at 3:20 in the morning, how many people are getting up at 3:20 now? Yeah? Let's have a group text, 3:20. Yeah? Who's up? Who's using their time? Okay? Achash Verosh. Whatever it says in the English, there it is. Okay. Now, I want to just start now this section with a statement that says that At the end of days, when the Messiah comes, okay, and redeems the world, all of the Jewish holidays, except Shabbos, will be nullified. Won't exist anymore. Except one. And if you were a betting person before we're doing a class on Purim, because you might know what the answer is now, what would you say is the most important holiday? Yom Kippur. Rosh Hashanah. I know all of you have like Tu B'Shvat like way up there. Wow, Tu B'Shvat this year was like awesome. Did you get those Kabbalistic vibes? Okay, right? Okay, but Purim is actually the holiday that when the Messiah comes and the great light will illuminate the world, everything else will be nullified except Purim. And why? And hopefully in the next 30 minutes we're going to figure out why. Here we go. So, sometimes we do things slowly, and sometimes we're going to race through things. So, ladies and gentlemen, take and pass. Okay? And this is the best cheat sheet, Cliff Notes. Now, I used to call them Cliff Notes, but someone told me that they're not Cliff Notes anymore. They're Spark Notes.
They were Spark Notes like years ago.
Years ago? Cliff. Do you remember Cliff Notes? The yellow and black? No one knows Cliff Notes? Do you know how I got through high school and into Stanford was partially because of those Cliff Notes? Moby Dick. Yeah, right. Sure you're going to read that. I was like that. I looked just like, what do you mean? I got sports practice and play and community service. There's no way I'm reading that book. Cliff Notes. No, seriously?
Wikipedia now.
Wikipedia now? Oh, gosh. I still, by the way, sometimes, is there enough? I have more. Kobe, could you, I still sometimes say I've got to look in my Rolodex to look up a number. You ever heard of that?
No.
It used to be those old things where like made of paper, and you would have phone number. Okay, never mind. Okay. All right, here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a chapter by chapter, blow by blow story. And what we're going to do right now is we're going to read. Okay, we're going to pick on people. Actually, don't have volunteers, okay? So without any further ado, volunteer, first reader, in English, no Hebrew, we're good. Not at once. Amy, go ahead. Yes, first chapter, what happens over there?
A lavish 6-month celebration marks the 3rd year in the reign of Ahasuerus, king of Persia. Queen Vashti refuses the king's request to appear at the celebration and display her beauty for the assembled guests. The king's advisors counsel that Vashti be replaced with a new queen.
Okay. Sounds like fun. All right, next chapter. No, just kidding. Why was there a party? Okay, what we're going to do is like this, and this is what I love doing, is there's not only the content here, it's the process. All of you during your day jobs are using your analytical powers to analyze things, make decisions, and when it comes to Judaism, Jewish thought, we rely on I remember in Sunday school when I was 7 years old. We're going to now take the same business acumen that you use every day, and we're going to apply that intellectual, analytical power to the story. So if there's a party, the first question is, why is there a party? What's he partying about? Yes, let me.
Remind me really quick, does this happen before, after, or during the diaspora of Jews?
Unbelievable. That is a crucial question. This is actually right after the first temple was destroyed and before the second temple was destroyed. One of the common themes is the Jews were kicked out of the land by a guy named Nebuchadnezzar from a place called Bavel, Babylonia, modern-day Iraq. In fact, fun fact, Saddam Hussein called himself Nebuchadnezzar II because he wanted to be the second one to destroy Jerusalem. He ended up like the first Nebuchadnezzar, dead and unsuccessful. But anyway, you got to be concerned who you name yourself after. Anyway, so after the Babylonians destroyed the temple, they took a majority of the Jews back to Babylon, okay? And then about 70 years later, come along the Persians. Remember your 8th grade history? This empire came, okay? And then the Babylonians came, and then the Persians came. So right in that transition, and it was before the second temple was built, and some of the tension in the story is the Jews want to go back, but Ahasuerus does not want them to go back. So that's a very germane and good question. Okay, now, so what's Ahasuerus? What are we celebrating? Himself. Why? Because what did he just do?
3rd year.
3rd year of his reign. And in 3rd year of his reign, he conquered 127 provinces from Hoduat Kush, which is India, modern India, to Ethiopia, which at that time was the entire modern civilized world. Whatever, basically, okay? And that was considered the whole world at the time, and he was the ruler of the world. So he wanted to go and show, I'm the man. Don't mess with me. Okay? And that's really what it was. And in fact, the ego that drove him to have a party was like his like in your face. And so what did he do? He invited everyone from around the world to come see how amazing he was and how powerful he was. Now, how long did this party last?
6 months.
6 months. Okay, I got to tell you a story. So I used to be a rabbi at UCLA between 2004 2007. Don't tell me how old you were and what you were doing then. Okay, anyway. So I was sitting with a guy who was a Jewish guy from Sigma Chi, the only Jewish guy in the house, okay? This guy, okay, we got a lot of good-looking dudes in this room, okay? I'm just saying, this guy was like the GQ model. He was a star. He was like 6 foot whatever. I don't know how he was Jewish. Anyway, so, okay, needless to say, his party life was extensive. And I said, okay, so-and-so, you have unlimited funds. The guy's Sigma Chi house was the most popular house at UCLA. How many nights in a row could you guys go at it? Party, full force. Every night, no break, straight. And like he got like this glimmer in his eye, like just imagining like unlimited resources, what he could do. Thought about it and he said, we could do 3 weeks. And I said, and then what would happen? And he thought about it, he said, I think we'd die. That's it. Exact conversation. So I'm like, what do you mean? Sigma Chi, UCLA, 3 weeks, King Ahasuerus, 6 months. It was a 6-month party. This was rocking and rolling. And it was all to show what? That Ahasuerus was the king. Back end, Ahasuerus was not a blue blood. He was a commoner who rose to power. So ego and power and esteem, others' esteem to him, was very important. Now the background is, what did he say? He called over his queen Vashti, who was the granddaughter of King Nebuchadnezzar, and she was a blue blood. She grew up in the royal palace. Okay? And she married the commoner who took over the army and became the king. So she's got a chip on her shoulder. And when Ahasuerus calls out to her, come dance at the party with your birthday suit on, actually, in the royal crown, the rabbis say in the royal crown, this is where you got to learn how to make an inference. In the royal crown, and only the royal crown. Okay? And she says, no, you stable boy, you commoner, I'm not going to do what you want. If you want me to do something, you come and ask me yourself. And so she refuses. Now, oh my gosh, it's night 187 of the party. There was 180 and then another 7-day party. And his whole honor and glory was like almost done. And then his whole plan falls kaput because he can't even get his own wife to listen to him. And therefore, his whole charade about him being this big man on campus or around the world goes up. And all of his work, 187 days, the word gets out. What's going to happen to his reputation? So he listens to an advisor named Memuchan Dana, who was also doubles later in the story. Memuchan sort of sounds like another guy's name, Haman. Haman says, you know what you need to do? You need to make a stand on your principles, and you need to execute her. Because if it gets out that your wife didn't listen to you, you're toast, because no one's going to listen to you. First of all, they know nothing about marriage, because the woman's always right, and the man always has to. Guys, I'm just telling you, that's how it goes. Okay, and they are right. That's the issue. We think we're right, we're not. Okay. Anyway, we could do therapy another time. Anyway, the point is that, and she's killed. Now, how many more chapters are there? 9 more. Guess what? Story's over. Story's over. Every seed of the salvation of the Jewish people has already been planted in this happenings. Okay? What would happen if Haman would have risen to power and Vashti still would have been queen, who was a famous anti-Semite, the granddaughter of Nebuchadnezzar? What would have happened? Would we have had someone to go to in the palace? Nada. But 5 years later, Haman rises to power. It's 5 years later. We read this like it just happens one after the other. 5 years later, Haman comes up to power. But guess who's there? Esther's already planned. We're going to see what she's going to be there. But none of it would have happened without this drunken decision by Ahasuerus to kill his wife. And I want to tell you, and this is really the basic theme of the entire Megillah, the entire story, and of Purim itself. Things don't seem as if they appear. We think that the worst day of our life is the worst day of our life. We lost a job, we lost a client, we lost a donor. Just lost one. Okay, whatever, we'll talk about another time. Okay, we lost a student, we lost whatever we lost. A tragic day. Guess what? We don't know. That could have been the best thing ever happened to us. How do we only know that? It's only a matter of time that we look back and we see, you know what? Sometimes the greatest blessings come in a painful situation. And that is the story of Purim. The world has a mask on it. Okay? Let's get to it. Let's talk about it. How do you say it? World in Hebrew? Olam. I'm doing cursive. Sorry, guys. Just can't do the script. Okay, that's world. Do you know what root this comes from? 3-letter roots. Ayin, Lamed, Mem. In Hebrew, say ne'elam is disappeared, is hidden. This world is hidden. What's hidden? God's hidden. We can see him. We can't. You have very bright people walking around this world declaring with 100% certitude that God doesn't exist. You have other people dedicating every waking moment to this God. How is that possible? Because what's behind curtain number 3? I don't know. Are you going to believe that God's behind there and pulling the strings of history or not? That's a free will choice that we have. This is the story of Purim. God is behind the scenes running the show, the grand marionette of history. Okay? And that is the challenge. By the way, why do we wear costumes on Purim? Because just as God was hiding behind a mask, so too we wear costumes to imitate that. Okay? All right, we're going too deep right now. But that's the concept of Purim. Is life just on the superficial level, or is there a depth and a meaning and a purpose even behind things that may not seem so pleasant? Okay, here we go. There we go, hiddenness. Okay, questions to now? We're rocking and rolling. Chapter 2, Esther becomes queen. A lovely lady. We need a lovely lady to read this. All right, can we put you on the spot?
Sure.
Chapter 2, go ahead.
Chapter 2. Across the Persian Empire, officials are appointed to identify beautiful candidates to succeed Vashti as queen. A Jewish girl, Esther, the niece of Mordecai, is brought to the capital of Persia as one of the candidates. Mordecai tells Esther to conceal her identity. Esther is chosen to be the queen. Mordecai learns of a plot to overthrow the king. Mordecai informs Esther. Esther tells the king, and the plotters are hanged.
Okay. How many women were selected in this beauty contest?
Thousands.
Yeah, a lot. It was representatives from every one of the 127 states. You got to think there's at least the top 3 to 5 of each of these states. You know, it's like the beauty contest. Okay. What were the odds of Esther being chosen? Okay, 1 out of whatever it was. Okay.
Slim.
Coincidence. It's a lucky break. Okay. Now here's something people don't think about. Did Esther want to be queen?
No.
Why not? Anyone know why not?
She's technically married.
Oh, so according to Midrash, okay, guys, we got to learn the adult version. Okay, the Game of Thrones version of everyone thinks that Mordecai was like the stepdad of Esther. Well, they were married, folks, okay? Whoa! I see, Sunday school just exploding in front of everyone's eyes. Yes, they were hot and heavy. They were married. They were married. And in fact, at the end, the only reason why eventually one day she could go back to becoming married again to Mordecai and to live with is if she is literally considered forced to have relations with Ahasuerus. But when she goes in at the last chapter, and one of the last chapters, she says, I need to convene with you to save the Jews. She says, the verse says, Kasher avadati, as I will lose out, I will lose out. I might lose my life, but even if I don't lose my life, I'm going to lose my real husband, because then I'm going in with my own volition, and therefore Esther was never allowed to remarry Mordecai afterwards. Okay? Because
Were they related and married, or were they just married? Because
No.
it still says uncle
here.
I know. Well, this is the nice family version. This is the PG version. I'm giving you the adult R plus version, okay? But it's the truer version. They were technically cousins. They say uncle, but it's bat dada. They technically were cousins, okay? But they were married. Okay. Now, she was chosen to be the queen. She did not want to be. One was she was not married. The second thing is, would you want to be married to Saddam Hussein? I just imagine. I can't even think. I have like 7 daughters. Okay, imagine like this, like beautiful, pure, Jewish Orthodox girl. Never touched a boy before. And Saddam Hussein calls her in and says, "Will you marry me?" It's like whatever. My heart's little. Okay, I can't even think about it. Okay, that she didn't want to be married, and in fact, why did Mordecai tell her not to say where she was from? It's a little bit crazy. Don't tell her you're Jewish. Why not?
He might kill you.
Okay, so yes, he might kill you, but also one of the key things that Mordecai that Achashverosh needed to do was to get a queen who had good status, right? Because he himself didn't have good status. So he would never marry someone who did not have a royal lineage, but he fell so much head over heels for Esther, he married her anyway. And that's one of the quote-unquote hidden miracles. There's no reason why he should have married her. The CNN commentators are like, I'm scratching my head over here. Why would Achashverosh marry a commoner? He doesn't even know where she's from. He needs to marry into status. And he marries her anyway. Yeah, let me.
Well, first of all, isn't that why Prince Charles married Diana? Was she a commoner?
You know what? I don't know. I don't know the exact history over there.
Where was Esther living prior to being brought to the capital?
So they were in Shushan. They were local. Mordecai and Esther were living in Shushan, where the capital was. Okay. By the way, Google Earth when you come back tonight to your place. Susa, Susa, the modern state city of Iran in Susa, and you will actually see the site is exactly how it's described. There was an artisan city, and then there was a place where the commoners lived, and a royal place. It's literally, you see it on Google Earth. It's incredible. Okay, Susa, Iran. Yeah.
So how did the divorce or get work with Mordecai? Or was it a null, or is the marriage with Ahasuerus null? Or
Well, we have to talk about the legal intricacies of it later. They actually, the Gemara Talmud goes through that because it's a complicated thing. But unfortunately, if someone is raped, then that is, but so everything technically was still in place for them to stay married until she went involuntarily. But she had to sacrifice for the Jewish people to save them. Okay, here we go. Now, Mordecai learns of a plot to overcome, to kill the king. Okay, Mordecai tells Esther. Esther tells the king. That's going to come in handy later. All right, we're zooming through this. Next brave reader. Michelle, chapter 3.
So you said this was 5 years later?
I'm sorry?
So this chapter
Yes, 5 years later.
5 years later, Ahasuerus appoints Haman to
Ooh. Oh, sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
all bow in homage to Haman. Mordecai consistently refuses to bow to Haman. An enraged Haman vows to kill all the Jews of Persia. Haman prevails upon Ahasuerus to destroy the Jews. A royal edict is disseminated throughout Persia. The 13th of Adar is designated as the date to exterminate all the Jews and plunder their possessions.
Okay, well, now let's talk about this. How many people have had someone who's upset them, really, upset them in the last month, let's say? Okay, I'm raising my hand. Okay, upset them, right? Last year. Okay. We have certain righteous people who realize that no one can upset me. It's only my choice and how I react. Okay, whatever. Okay, but we have to. So someone upsets you. Okay. Now the logical thing, of course, would be not only am I going to kill that person, I'm going to kill every one of their people. That's obviously the logical reaction over here. Okay, so what's going on with this Haman? Who is this guy? That's not such a normal thing. Someone upsets you, take him out. Take him out, I'll take his family out, We'll take out his whole people. I mean, what is going on here? It sounds like very petty. Who was Haman? Who was Haman? Haman belongs to, sorry for my bad impersonation.
The Darth Vader of history.
Who's the Darth Vader of history? Okay, we'll get to that. It could be that he was related, by the way. He's a great of a nation called
Nero?
Amalek. These are the bad guys. We left Egypt very peacefully, not doing anything to anyone, and Amalek attacked us for no reason. They attacked us because we stood for morality, and we believe in God and represent godliness in the world. And because of those ideas, they said, you know what? Even though we're going to get whooped, we're going to do it anyway. These are the Darth Vaders of history. We don't know exactly who they are anymore. After Sancheriv, long story, mixed up all the nations still in the First Temple time. But this concept of a nation, of a people that is focused, diametrically opposed to goodness, and to fight goodness in the world, that's our enemy. Okay? That was Amalek. Haman came from a guy named Agag, King Agag, in the book of Samuel. We don't have time. And Haman was a descendant of him. And he had his life's mission to wipe out the Jews. So it wasn't that, Mordecai upset him, so he decided to go. He wanted an excuse to be able to wipe out the Jews. Okay? That's really what is going on. Yeah?
Was Mordecai at this time just like a local Jewish leader?
Yeah, he was what we call Gadol Hador. He was the great rabbi of that generation, and he happened to be living right there in Shushan. Okay? Front row, 50-yard line seats for all the action.
But they didn't have rabbinic ordinances back then.
Oh, yeah, they didn't.
I thought the rabbinic portion that came after the second.
They had smicha all the way from Moshe to Joshua the elders. They had different titles, but this conference of rabbinic, or whatever you call it, legitimacy. Okay, here we go. So now, 13th of Adar, royal edict goes out throughout all the purposes. Okay, chapter 4, here we go. Who's up? Anna, gonna bug you. Chapter 4.
Chapter 4, Esther's mission becomes clear. Mordecai tears his clothes and puts on sackcloth and ashes as a sign of public mourning. Mordecai sends a copy of the decree to Esther and asks her to intercede with the king. Esther replies that to approach the king without being summoned is to risk death. Mordecai tells her that she has no choice. Esther tells Mordecai to ask the Jews to fast and pray for 3 days before she will approach the king.
Okay. Let's just do chapter 5 straight because I want to cover ground. Keep going, Anna. You're doing great.
Okay. Chapter 5, Esther's strategy, Haman's fury. King Ahasuerus receives Esther and grants her virtually any request. Esther's requests that the king and Haman join her at a banquet. After the banquet, Haman sees Mordecai, who once again refuses to bow. When Zeresh, Haman's wife, suggests that Mordecai be hung, the gallows are prepared. Okay, 4 and 5 are the key of the story, mounting up to its really dramatic flip around. Okay, and so look, now here's the male-female thing. If you want to know a proper and healthy relationship between male and female, husband and wife, learn chapter 4 of the Megillah Esther. Each of them feels very strongly about the strategy. Mordecai says, you got to go in. First of all, Esther says, what are you mourning for? What's the problem? Mordecai says, you don't think that you're going to escape the king, right? The decree of the king. Don't think you're going to be safe in there. He's going to kill you too. And Esther says, what's going on? And they're back and forth. And Mordecai says, you got to go in right now. Esther's like, wait a minute. If I go in, it's a kamikaze thing. The way the decree was, it happened in Nisan. They had another 11 months until Adar comes around that the decree will happen. Esther's like, I'll wait till he calls me in. Wait till he's in a good mood. And everything will be great. Why should I go kamikaze? And on the chance, if I lose out on this one chance, the Jews are toast. Mordecai says, emergency. You must go in. And by the way, this is a beautiful thing. We have to realize, and it's a scary thing, but it's a liberating thing. We don't control results. We control our efforts. The Almighty controls the results. Mordecai was telling Esther, you think you're really saving the Jewish people? The Almighty's going to save the Jewish people. You've got to do due diligence, and you've got to do it right now. Then what does she say? So she accepts from him, says, you know what, you're right. She was willing to change her paradigm. And then she says, fine, but if I'm going to do it, I'm going to tell you what to do. And she says back to him, I want everyone to fast for me. And you know what he does? He says, you're 100% right. He says, even though you're the one going in there, we all have to be in there together, and you're 100% right. So you see this beautiful back and forth of harmony, of both having very strong opinions, and then both working together to the final solution, as opposed to, you come to my party. No.
I will kill you. Okay, that is the unsophisticated chapter 1 of what happened in the party. You see the different relationship of male and female. Okay, here we go. So now, she finally gets in there, and what does she request? It's the craziest request. What should... You're Esther. You're in there. You got an audience with the king. What do you say? What's the obvious thing to ask for? Yeah, stop Haman and save the Jewish people. And what does she ask him for? Come to a party? I mean, it's crazy. Like every year I do that. I'm like, hello, did I put the wrong copy of it? Where is like? Why in the world would she be asking to go to a party?
He likes parties.
Oh, he likes parties. The Talmud gives many answers, and that is one of them. That she wanted to get get Achashverosh in a mood, in a time. She also invites someone else to the party. Who does she invite?
Mordechai.
No, not Mordechai. Haman. She invites Haman. So one of the reasons the Talmud says is that she was going to go and make King Achashverosh think that what? Here's where the Game of Thrones comes in, the intrigue. That Haman and her were trying to kill him so that he would do what? He would kill both of them. In other words, she was sacrificing her own in order that if they take the head of the snake out and take Haman out, then perhaps the Jews would be saved. There's one more reason. It's unbelievable. Okay? This is really deep. Says the Talmud. Talmud is like 7, 8, like at least 7 reasons why she invited Haman to the party. One of them was like this. Esther's like, you know what? I realize, you know who's the grand puppeteer of the world? The CEO of the universe? You know who really makes things happen? That's the Almighty, Hashem, the CEO of the universe. You know who the Jews of Shushan think is going to save them? They think that I'm going to save them. You know what? That's not going to be good. The whole point of the story is that the Jews will come to recognition that Hashem is the Almighty of the universe. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to invite Haman to the party so that the Jewish people will think that I'm a traitor and they won't rely on me and they'll pray directly to Hashem. Okay, I know that's a little convoluted, but if you think about what the calculations are, the whole point of the story again is what? Who's behind the mask? Is it Esther saving the day? No, Esther's walking in doing what she needs to do. But the Almighty is saving the day. So she didn't want people to think that she was the one who was saving them. Unbelievable. Tremendous depth of what's going on here. Okay, so now, here we go. The drama's getting moving. Next volunteer, chapter 6. We got to finish in a couple minutes. Yeah, Zach, go ahead. Chapter 6.
The reversal begins. The king can't sleep and asks to hear the royal chronicles. For the first time, the king learns of the assassination plot that Mordechai had revealed.
That is back in chapter 2. So again, the seeds of salvation. He can't sleep. Oh, shucks. Just happened. Oh, shucks. One night he can't fall asleep. All right, what? Why? Just another accident of the story, quote unquote. Okay, go ahead.
That same night, Haman comes to see the king about hanging Mordechai. Before Haman can speak, the king tells Haman to honor Mordechai by dressing him in royal garments, to place him on a royal stallion, and to personally lead him through the streets of Shushan, capital of Persia.
Okay, so I want you to know sometimes in life is a matter of hours, sometimes it's a matter of minutes, and sometimes a matter of seconds. If you were the movie producer of this great story, you would literally have the scene of 2 people approaching the palace, one from one side and one from the other, okay? You'd have Haman coming in, and you'd have the messengers already, like, just barely getting to the room to read to Haman this story. They just happen to be, these chronicles of the king are probably like encyclopedias long, and they just happen to find this story, and they just happen to read the story about Mordechai saving the king. And he just happened not to be asleep, to be able to go to sleep. And then 30 seconds later, Haman knocks on the door at 3:25 a.m. Okay? And he wants to request Mordechai be killed. Let's say that Achashverosh would have a good night's sleep that night. Let's say that he wouldn't have been read that story. You know what would have happened? Mordechai would have ended up on the gallows. Instead of being on the gallows, he ended up being ridden on a horse, and the king's horse brought by Haman. This is another theme of the story. Things flip in a dime. And as you see in your lives, you expect something, and then all of a sudden, boom, It flips on its head. In Hebrew we say, Yeshuas Hashem keherafayim. I cannot tell you how many times, God only guys, you will see it, you get married, you have children, you see just in so many ways, especially with raising children, you think one thing and then all of a sudden you have no idea how something's going to work out, and then boom, the heavens open and it flips in a second. In a second. And it's like, sir, and I will look, she's like, whoa, what just happened over there? Okay, but if you open your eyes, you'll see it on every level. Okay, and this is what happens. The whole story switches on that dime over there. Okay, the reversal we did. Stir, reversal of fortune. Chapter 7, we're blazing through it. Second banquet, Esther reveals her identity and announces that she and her people are about to be murdered. And then Esther identifies Haman as her arch enemy. The king has Haman hung on the gallows that has been prepared for Mordechai. Again, everything was flipped around. The very same gallows that was destined for Mordechai ended up being flipping over for to be Haman. Okay, end of the story is cleanup. They ended up, okay, Mordechai becomes prime minister. The second royal edict is that the Jews could defend themselves. Chapter 9 was the battle. The Jews were able to defend themselves. The 10 sons of Haman are hung, and they're designated as holidays, the 14th and 15th of Adar. Chapter 10, the grand thing that King Ahasuerus says is he wants his money back. He is all about the money. If anyone could have been moved by what was seen in the story, it was Ahasuerus, and he ended up literally the same person. He could not see it. This story happens over a period of 9 years. Okay, so imagine taking the headlines of whatever your favorite media outlet is. Okay, whatever, the New York Times, Washington, whatever, Wall Street Journal, we'll do both for each side. Okay, and headlines from 9 years ago till today, making one seamless story. Wow, that's so disjointed. And one of the lessons of the story of Purim is that no, there's a plan. There's a plan. Okay, we may not know all the parts of it, but when we're plugged into a larger reality, my life means something. I may not understand this sliver of it. When I step back and I look at the grand totality of it and I, with different eyes, I can see the hand guiding my life. Okay? When people don't understand it, I often say it's like a 1,000-piece puzzle. And someone's holding up one piece. I don't understand why I did. So whoa. Wait till about 500 pieces are put. Okay? Maybe you'll see where it is. The story of Purim is that eventually it makes sense. And by the way, in our lifetimes, there's certain things that we may not understand in our lifetimes, but the faith of the Jews, and by the way, this is we'll finish by answering our original question. Why is Purim the holiday that we're going to celebrate even when the Messiah comes? Is because there's certain things called fair weather fans. Okay? I grew up in the San Francisco 49ers, where there were people who only when they started winning Super Bowls were they fans, and then when they stopped winning Super Bowls, then they stopped being fans, and now again they started being fans, okay? But there's certain people called the faithful, that even when your team goes 2-14, you're still, there's 16 games in the NFL, okay, whatever, okay. That you still hold faith. You say, you know what, I'm going to be faithful. The question is, what do you put your faith in? And the story of Purim is when the final curtain is revealed of history. And who's behind curtain number 3? Hey, it's Hashem. It's God Almighty. And he was running everything the whole time. Purim says, you know what? I was down with that. Even before the curtain was pulled back, which is basically what Messiah is going to be. Everyone's going to recognize the Almighty runs the show. Before the curtain was pulled back, I was faithful to the reality that Hashem was there. That's Purim, okay? And why do we get drunk? Why do we get drunk? Because sometimes we're covered over with layers of superficiality, okay? And sometimes you need a little dynamite to blast into who we are. So I say the drinking on the college campuses is the opposite, right? On college campus, okay, I was in a fraternity, we'll talk about that maybe another time, or we're not on recording, okay? All right? And the post-game conversation of my other friends said that, dude, why'd you do that? I was like, oh no, I was drunk. Okay, that was in other words, I would do things I would know are not morally correct because of the influence of alcohol. I put a mask on, I betrayed my inner moral compass because of the alcohol. Purim is just the opposite. I access my deep inner goodness and I let it come out on Purim. And that's why the drinking is totally different. And that's why when I encourage people to come to a real Purim parties, you have people drinking and like being so happy and inner, like the classic Purim vision of a real good Purim meal is at the end of the whole thing. And there are two guys that are like, dude, I love you. I love you too. Because it's deep inside things that we are afraid to share, that our inner goodness comes out. Okay? And that is a little taste of Purim. Thank you. I'm sorry I went over a little bit. Okay, beautiful.